Good afternoon, everyone, and good afternoon, Lauren Tratar. Let me introduce you. First, my name is Elesh. I'm a political analyst, and Lauren, could you tell the viewers and listeners about yourself?
I am a published author, and I've written actually 4 books. The first is Life, a Complete Operating Manual, the book you never received when you were born. And the subtitle is The Secret to Life Unveiled, Who You Really Are, How Life Really Operates, and How to Unleash the Incredible Power Within. That book was followed by September 11th, A Case for the Higher Purpose. And when many of the problems began emerging in our world, and I was confronted with 3 foreclosures, I began to do research, and which compelled me to write 2 other books. So one is called We the Sheeple versus the Banksters, and then the last book, and that is online for free, as is the last book, which is essentially a PowerPoint, and it's called 2012 Humankind at a Crossroads, A Call to Action.
Thank you, Lauren. And I'll tell you just a little bit about myself. I'm an attorney, and I have felt compelled in the last few years to speak out about the injustices, speak out about the issues that I've read about in school, that I've seen in the courtrooms, that I've seen playing out in political capitals around the world. I think most people would say that we're living in very interesting times. And those are very challenging times. I mean, when we look at the problems that we're facing in our country today, I don't think they're on the same magnitude, or they're not of the same magnitude as the problems that our parents and grandparents face. I think that we're talking about global crises. Yes. Not just problems like, oh, there was a depression in the 1930s, there was World War I, there was World War II. Of course, those are major events, but we have the ability now, unfortunately, to destroy the whole planet.
Yes.
And we're talking about issues like extinction, whether that's a species of animal or whether it's human beings. And what I've come to realize is that there are decisions being made that have contributed significantly to the injustices.
Yes.
And those injustices have made me say, okay, I want people to learn more about the true history. I want them to know more about how these decisions are being made and by whom. So that's what's compelled me to get involved with you, Lauren, who have you have a much deeper background in terms of publishing than I do. But I think my background in politics adds a element or a structure to how people can make a difference.
Yes.
And how do you think we can make a difference by making these videos and by going on speaking tours? How do you think we'll make a difference?
Well, I think before we can make a difference, Drew, we have to first raise consciousness. Because in order to change consciousness, we must first raise consciousness. So while you and I began to observe these very alarming events occurring in our world, such as our Congress, which is essentially doing nothing right now, our banks that are fraudulently foreclosing on homes, they're essentially stealing people's homes through fraud. And no one's being prosecuted, unlike the S&L crisis that occurred in the late 1990s, where 800 bankers were jailed. Our monetary system found out that it's actually controlled by the Federal Reserve, which is not a federal organization. It's a privately held corporation for profit. This is very alarming. And when I began to study this in depth, I began to learn that every bubble and burst of bubble where we're told it's natural is actually an intentionally created bubble. And so the foreclosures that both you and I have been working on are now essentially, it was all caused by the Federal Reserve and their cronies in the banks. On top of that, we're looking at our jobs being sent overseas, causing widespread unemployment. We've got Wall Street, which is running essentially a casino on the backs of hard-working people. We're the ones out working, they're the ones betting if we're going to make our payments or not, and then they profit when we don't make our payments. What kind of system is this? We've got our pension funds being eradicated. The interest rates on student loans doubled. They just doubled, while the Federal Reserve is giving the biggest banks, they're lending money for no interest whatsoever.
Yeah, it's close to 0%,
Yes.
and then students are supposed to pay, what is it, north of 6%?
6.8 right now.
Amazing.
Then we've got the cost of higher education, which is just skyrocketing, unheard of before. Our fresh water supply is being poisoned through the fracking or fracturing of the shale while they are trying to find natural gas. Our air is being poisoned through the chemtrails and geoengineering through the HARP project.
You know, some of these things, probably 3 or 4 years ago, I would say, oh, that's a conspiracy theory.
Yes.
But I've done research, I know you've done research, and they're not.
Right?
These are scientifically based, and documents come out from the government, documents come out from private corporations acknowledging that they're spraying barium and aluminum and these other heavy metals in order to alter the sunlight and alter the weather patterns. So these are not conspiracy theories, and our future videos will detail and will substantially corroborate who's behind the agenda for the financial system, who's behind the geoengineering. And I think that you're going to learn some very interesting facts, and of course we're going to get to solutions, right, Lauren?
Yes, we're mostly concerned right now with the solutions. And it's very interesting, Drew, because Albert Einstein left us a clue. And he said, problems cannot be solved at the same level of awareness that created them. So what we're going to talk about, and what my books are actually written about, is the next level of awareness. For that is where our true power lies. It doesn't lie in force. We've tried force, we've tried war, we certainly know none of these methodologies are effective. They only make one more defensive. So we're looking for true solutions to what's going on today. And I believe that, that we have the solutions. And I think if our viewers stay tuned for our following subsequent films, YouTube's here, you will learn what the ancients called the secrets that were actually destined to be revealed at this critical juncture in the evolution of man.
Well, that's exciting, and I look forward to it. Look forward to learning about that.
All right. So we will look forward to seeing you in our next YouTube. Thanks so much.
Thank you.